We had tried
Shower.
to,
Guys, I'm sorry, if you want,
I'm sorry.
you can do that someplace else, thank you very much.
we had tried to reduce some of the cost of the project, in particular the pavement thickness along the parking lanes. We tried to reduce that section so that it wasn't as thick as the main driving part. And MnDOT came back and said that they won't allow that because they feel that if vehicles aren't parked there, a truck could move over or a tractor and would start to wear that area and it would break. And MnDOT's responsible for the pavement. So if it broke up, they would have to come back sooner than they would want to repave that area. We had also tried to save some of the ped ramps, but their standards have completely changed, and their ADA people said that they wouldn't budge on their standards at all. They did make an exception over here by the Catholic Church because of the grade change. That doesn't meet their standard either, but they're willing to work with that one, so that was one for us. The other is the storm pipes. MnDOT has changed their standards for storm pipes and the amount of water that they can carry. If we followed the current standards, almost all of our storm pipes would have to be removed. We were successful in arguing that the old standard should still apply, and they've been willing to accept that as of now. One thing that they did change was they wanted to put drain tile along both sides of the road. It's a standard that they've adopted recently, and it helps to keep the water away from the pavement section. When you get water in there, it mixes with the sand and the rock base, and it starts to move, and that's why the roads break up sooner rather than they do if they have the drain tile. Unfortunately, the drain tile is an extra expense, and they're only going to put in $1.5 million, and they gave us an extra $50,000 to help offset some of these additional costs. I reminded them that while their number is capped, so is ours, and so I guess we'll have to see what happens when it goes to bid. Right now, the final plans are in the St. Paul office for final review. They take between 4 to 8 weeks to do their final review. When that's completed, we'll go out for bid. The bids have to be out for 3 weeks. Our current timeline indicates that we would be awarding the project, if everything goes through, in early May. Road bans usually come off mid-May. This year might be crazy because of the frost, but just going by normal, if it's mid-May, we're still on track for breaking ground in mid-May, even with these last little bits of hassle about the project. It's been very interesting to design the road, submit it to MnDOT. We've had to do it like 3 times now, and each time they seem to find something that they didn't catch the time before, which is why we're a little concerned about what happens up in St. Paul. But St. Paul's actually seen these at the 70% or 75% bid level, and so we think that they've caught all of the major things, and we've battled out the few issues that we thought we could prevail on. I think that's it.
Isn't part of the problem too that MnDOT has so many different departments and they don't seem to always coordinate?
That's one of the reasons that at the last meeting that we had with MnDOT, it was called a management meeting. Some of the lower level folks that were telling us, you can do this, and then it would go higher, and the engineer wouldn't agree, and then we'd get into some heated discussions about that. You have a management session, and this last one was very interesting because they wanted to have a management meeting to discuss the issues from the previous meeting where things got rather heated, and they, in a very nice way, said, "We've considered everything that you would like to do with this project, and we're rejecting all of it. We're going to give you an extra $50,000, but we've listened to you, and we're not going to change our minds about our standards." So that's sort of the way it goes when you're working with them. They feel the same way when they're working with the federal government. You know, it's sort of just the way it works when you're doing these, doing a joint project. It would be the same if we're working with the county. I'm sure we'd have differences of opinion.
When you looked at the value engineering portion of the project or whatever, the drain tile, as an example, that's something that the city could buy just as easily as putting it on the bid package, correct? I mean, the city could buy it probably cheaper
We could probably buy a lot of the things cheaper, but that's,
than I'm just talking about some of the product. Would that be one way to help ensure that we're getting to a cost basis or a cost level that we can afford to do the project? If it comes in way over, you know, what are we gonna do? If we pass our cap,
council's either gonna have to authorize exceeding the cap, or we're gonna have to tell them that we can't do it, or something else is gonna have to go out of the project. We've been telling them this since day one, that while their price is fixed, so is ours. I'm not sure that we can start splitting things out of the budget and providing them ourselves. That's not the way that they work either. One thing that we did do, though, is we've got the southern end drain tile removed, because those soils are contaminated. And here was another case where they had the soil engineering done. Somebody in the planning process knew that those soils were contaminated. You can't put contaminated soil, groundwater, into a drain tile system that empties into the Root River. That's just, that's stupid. And they had to admit at the meeting that, yeah, that area won't get drain tile. So that'll save us a little bit of money.
So, what is the bond rating of the city here?
What is the bond rating of the city?
Aren't we rated on bonds?
Yep, I think we're A3.
Is that,
Is it A minus?
We dropped to half of
Half a, yeah.
so we're down to A minus, triple A minus, or?
No, single A.
depends on which rating company, but the one that we,
Moody's was the last one we
yeah,
used. Which is not,
and that wasn't,
it's,
the debt was high, it was our cash was low.
it was our capital fund, yeah. Our cash fund for the general fund, which is still low.
But inching there.
We did a call the last time we did a placement with Moody's, and we explained the flood, the recovery. They probably would have downgraded us further. The triple A status, single A, small letter A.
yeah.
Well, that affects the amount, the percentage that we borrow money at.
Correct. And there was also discussions about the laterals, who owns the lateral, what do other cities do. I did an informal poll, and think of about the 7 communities that I heard from, only 2 of them, Yoda and Lanesboro, are the only 2 that the homeowner isn't responsible from the house to the main. In Yoda and in Lanesboro, the homeowner is responsible to the shutoff, and the city's responsible from the shutoff to the main. So our policy is within what most cities do in southeast Minnesota. Right, wrong, or indifferent.
Yeah. I just remember when I built my house,